The Benefits of Being an Octopus, Chapter 6. After the school bus drops me off, I zip up my jacket and walk as quick as I can along the shoulder of Route 3. If I can get to the pizza pit before Bryce and Aurora's Head Start bus shows up, I can steal my favorite 5 minutes of the day. A logging truck whizzes past me, and I squint to block the spray of icy slush it kicks up from the road. My mom's lucky to have this job. It's not as much money as the fancy place she worked in the tiny little mountain town of Peru, Vermont, where all the skiers came. But you can't keep a job like that if your car doesn't start when it's cold out. Plus, people eat at the pizza pit year-round. And we can walk there from the trailer. When I arrive and push open the door, it's Connor who's holding Hector. They're standing just behind the pink neon open sign that's flashing on and off. Hector is giggling every time it turns on. Ricky, the boss, has said it's okay if Hector's around a bit. Says it makes it feel like a real family restaurant, just as long as he doesn't cry or make a mess. And only if it's during the half hour that my mom's and Connor's shift overlap. And even though everything would be easier if my mom's shift started half an hour later, so she wouldn't have to schlep him there until I could take over, I'd miss getting to see Hector and Connor together. "Hey, Zoe," Connor says as soon as he sees me. "How was school today?" He's smiling his regular giant smile. No one in the world could have a smile as great as Connor's. "Where's my mom?" I asked, reaching to take Hector from him. "Do you need to take care of that table?" Connor glances over at the booth of people. "Oh, they're fine. They've been there for hours, and they've got their check already. They don't need me." Connor reaches out and tickles Hector, who's now squirming in my arms, trying to get back to Connor. "But your mom needed me, didn't she, Mr. Cutie Pie? Because someone went and spit up all over her uniform, and she had to go change." "Was that you?" I say to Hector. My voice sounds awkward, mimicking Connor's happy bubbliness. But Hector's eyes are wide, and he keeps giggling. I'm pretty sure I usually talk to him like my mom does, mostly tired. "Hey," Connor gestures over to one of the booths. "Take a load off. I'll get you a water with lemon." I settle onto the padded seat of the booth with Hector on my lap. He reaches for the rolled-up napkin as silverware and instantly throws it on the floor. "I'm sorry," I say to Connor when he comes back over. "No worries," he says, pocketing the silverware roll and the small black apron around his waist. "There are more where that came from." He sets down one ice water with a slice of lemon perfectly placed on the top of the glass, far enough away so it's out of Hector's reach, and one spoon close by. "That's for you, Mr. Cutie Pie," he says, pointing to the spoon, "and the water is for your awesome older sister." "Thank you," I say. I take a drink of the water while Hector is distracted by the spoon. I try to sneak a peek at Connor's tattoos. Ricky makes him wear a long-sleeve shirt under the standard black polo uniform, but you can still see the edges of them peeking out from the sleeve. He showed them to me once. There was one that looked like a cross with another cross inside that he said he'd gotten when he was hiking around Peru. Like the country Peru, not Peru, the tiny town where our car wouldn't start. Connor made it all the way to a place where January is summertime. "So now," Connor says, sliding into the seat across from me, "let's get down to business. Which is better, an igloo with a marshmallow roasting fire pit or a tree house in the jungle, but you can only eat nuts?" I lean back against the booth and bite back a smile. The tree house in the jungle. Connor raises his eyebrows. "Just nuts?" "I like nuts." He grins. "Okay, what have you got for me?" "Let's see." I close my eyes. "You have to walk across town when everything is black ice, but you get to eat warm chocolate chip cookies the whole time. Or it's a beautiful day, but you have to spend the night being chased by angry squirrels." Connor laughs out loud. Oh, what a choice, Zoe, he considers for a minute. Squirrels are fast. I'd take the cookies instead, and I'll ice skate the whole way. Best 5 minutes of the day. My mom comes out of the bathroom a few minutes later. She's kind of frazzled, still fixing her hair and stuff, but it's clear she's already switched over to the work mode mom. I like getting to sneak peeks at her waitressing. The way she can fly out of the kitchen carrying multiple plates of steaming pasta. The way she pushes buttons on the cash register like a boss. The way she writes down customers' orders in this cool, magical code. And can do it without ever looking away from the customer. It's like waitressing is the one time when the competent mom I remember comes back and says hello. She hands me the diaper bag. At least there was an extra uniform shirt in there. You can't see the spot on my pants, right? Her black pants look the same as ever. I shake my head. Good. She turns to Connor. Okay, what other prep work do I need to get done before the dinner rush? I was unable to mix up two of the salad dressings, but I didn't have time to get I was able to mix up 2 of the salad dressings, but I didn't have time to get to the ranch yet, Connor says as they push past the doors into the kitchen. I look over at the table where Matt Hubbard's family always sits on the regular Saturday night dinners. Matt and his mom and his dad and his little sister, just like in a commercial. His sister is a few grades younger than us. She has some fancy name like Emmeline or Eleanor, or maybe it was just Emily, but she looks fancy and smart because she was always winning things, just like Matt in elementary school. The spelling bee, the art contest for Earth Day, all that stuff. I bet they make up new contests just so the Hubbards can win them. Last week in homeroom, when Mr. Bonteff made his whole big deal about how Matt had done such an amazing job for his trumpet solo in the jazz band concert, about how it was magnificent and amazing. I can't even imagine having a teacher say things like that about me. But even though I don't do after-school activities like he does, and even though I'm grimy, he still talked to me this morning, and he still gave me Swedish fish, even though I didn't have my debate packet like everyone else. And he has really nice brown eyes. Zoe, what are you still doing here? My mom burst back at the kitchen door. Bryce and Aurora will be getting off the bus any second. I look at the clock on the wall. Shoot, I scoot out of the seat, swing Hector onto one hip, and sling his diaper bag onto my opposite shoulder on top of my backpack. I'm going. The door jingles on my way out, and I am soon huffing it across the parking lot and along Route 3. Up ahead on the opposite side of the street, I can see the people waiting for their kids. They're at the corner where Pratt Street comes in, where the bus is about to stop, where I shouldn't be standing right now. I pick up the pace, and Hector giggles as if a horseback ride from the horse he's hyperventilating. Hector giggles as if a horseback ride from a horse that's hyperventilating is the best kind ever. The bus comes round the corner and slows down to a stop. The cars that usually zip down this stretch of road come to a halt as the bus switches to its flashing red lights. I watch as Bryce and Aurora emerge from the bus door in the midst of the other kids, just like they always do, on the opposite side of the street from me. The school bus's flashing lights have stopped. Its stop sign is tucked back in, and the traffic starts to move again. The other kids are heading off with the grown-ups down Pratt Street toward the houses in that neighborhood, but Bryce and Aurora are still standing there looking around. I'm always right there, waiting for them, always. Maybe we don't have dinner at a table every night. Maybe we have to get free lunch tickets and deal with all the same shame I had to deal with when I was first in school. But at the end of the day, I am always there to pick them up. Bryce, Aurora, I call as I run. I'm right here. But as soon as the words leave my mouth, I regret it because Aurora yells, Zoe, and starts running toward me directly across the street. as though all the cars around her are just bubbles that will pop if they touch her. A car slams on its brakes and lays on the horn. In the closest lane, another car skids to a stop, and the car behind it narrowly misses rear-ending it. The blare of the horns is so loud that Aurora comes to an abrupt stop halfway across the road and covers her ears. But when you're at a bumper level in a sea of honking, it doesn't matter how much you cover your ears. Those bubbles are still way louder than they should be. Aurora bursts into tears. On the far side of the street, Bryce is screaming and stamping his feet. He's not even looking at Aurora anymore. It's like he's gone rabid. One of the drivers rolls down his window and yells, What do you kids think you're doing? He starts to roll his window back up and pauses when he looks at me. And for God's sake, put a coat on that baby. I glanced down to see Hector just in his pajamas. Hector, of course, has started crying too. And it might just be because he's about to lose all his fingers to frostbite. Where's my layer of protective octopus slime? Where are my 8 tentacles to pull all 3 kids close to me and wrap them up so they can cry their eyes out? Aurora, you've got to get out of the street, I yell. But she just keeps crying. Aurora, I yelled again, and a new car starts beeping its horn. I grip my teeth, heft Hector, the neglected hire, onto my hip, and walk into the middle of the road. But Aurora won't let me take her by the hand. Up, she says, through her sobs, her arms raised up to me. Up. So I heave her up onto my opposite hip along with the diaper bag, with all those drivers watching impatiently, stagger across the rest of the road to where Bryce is still screaming and jumping about like his feet are on fire. I quickly set Aurora and the diaper bag down on a snowbank. Don't you dare move, I say, not an inch. My voice is shaking. I turn back to rabid Bryce, flailing around on the shoulder of the road. I grab a rock off the ground with my Hector-free hand and close my fist around it. Then I drop to my knees right next to Bryce and wrap him up with my arm. Bryce, I have a rock for you that I need you to hold. Ah! He keeps screaming. Ah! Ah! He keeps trying to squirrel out from under my arm. But I squeeze tighter. Bryce, I say again, I have a rock for you that I need you to hold. I glance at Aurora, and she's thankfully still sitting next to the diaper bag. Bryce keeps squirming and keeps screaming, but it's weaker now than it was. Bryce, I have a rock for you that I need you to hold. Bryce sinks against me. I open my hand so he can see the rock. He takes it in his right hand. When things went south between my mom and Nate at the boat launch that day, I swear giving Bryce one rock after another was the only way I kept him with me. Sometimes you just need something solid that fits entirely in your hand. I quickly grab another rock off the ground. I have another rock that I need you to hold. As he takes it in his other hand, the last bit of frenzy seems to leave him. He crawls up the black-tinged snowdrift to where Aurora is perched, curls up with his head in her little lap, and sobs. I reposition Hector to be inside my jacket, zip it partly around him, and sit down next to Aurora and Bryce. I wrap the two of them up as best I can and give them kisses and kisses and more kisses. Some people can do their homework. Some people get to have crushes on boys. Some people have other things they have got to do.